So your players round the corner, heading towards the small town that has been uncharted on their map. And on their way, they see crowds of people, onlookers, nomads, caravanners, merchants, and they're heading off of the beaten path because directly in the path is this black orb. People are gathered around it, poking it with a stick, maybe. Or maybe the orb is sending off emanations that are keeping people away from it. Is it reflecting the sun, or does it seem to be um, nearly flat, reflectionless, seemingly a void in the time and space? Let's say our players avoid it, but they continue on to the city. And in the city, they see individuals, maybe small children, those down and out on their luck, and they're gathering these black pearls or orbs. Or maybe in the city center is a black orb, and it seems to pulse with a life all its own. Anything and everything that seems to approach it or touch it is sucked into it. What exactly is it? What are even the rules based on it? I don't know. But today, on this day, we are going to talk about this prompt, the Day of the Black Orbs. And this prompt, amongst so many others, is just up for interpretation. So join us, have fun, but let's get into the intro first. All right. Okay. So thank you, Deadman, and everybody else who's a co-host of the show. Thank you very much for being here on RPG with DBJ. All of you creatives, community, and kind folks, I appreciate it. And again, today is another uh, somewhat simplistic but wild prompt. And this is the very first thing that made me create this prompt in the first place. And Deadman brings up something. So I got a question for you and anybody out there who's played any length of Dungeons and Dragons, because I don't believe there's one answer to this, but I'd like to find out what your opinion is. So Deadman, thank you very much for bringing this up because this is what went through my mind. It said, Deadman says it'd be an orb of annihilation. If you touch it, it will eat you whole. Okay, so in classic fantasy Dungeons and Dragons, we have the orb of annihilation, and I'm sure we can find many of what is it, orb spheres and all that all that kind of good stuff, right? Here is my question. All right. Okay, so it's basically a black sphere, black hole, right? What happens when you touch it? Now, and I mean this, I mean this to be to be a little bit pedantic here. Like I want specificity. Okay, so you get yourself your 10-foot pole because for everybody who doesn't know this, and I'm sure everyone does, in one of the very first rooms of the Tomb of Annihilation, there is an image of a like a statuette of sorts and a bas relief image at the end of the hallway. And at the end of this hallway is this mouth, and in the inside of the mouth is this sphere of annihilation. You can't move it, unlike the I don't know if you call it a magic item or something like that, a dead area in space, and you can't move it. And the giving away part of Tomb of Annihilation that I think everybody really knows is that when you get to the end of the hallway, having a an area of blackness in the mouth of this thing causes people to want to bother it and maybe even investigate it and stick things in it. But it's a sphere of annihilation. Anything you stick in it is completely annihilated. But here's my question. Does it operate like a black hole or does it operate like disintegration? So if you take a 10-foot pole and you stick it in there, does it suck the 10-foot pole out of the person's hands? Or does the end of the 10-foot pole just stop existing? I don't know. I don't know. Does it create a gravity all of its own or whatever? But honestly, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it operates the way it operates in your game world, right? but but the I guess in my head I was like, I always wondered that because we had little conversations about the sphere of annihilation at the end of that hallway, and I was like, well, wait a minute, the the first person that went in there, wouldn't they just get chopped in half? Like the minute they inserted a limb, wouldn't just be removed? Because if it either way, their arm goes missing or they get sucked in, the rest of us would have known what was happening because the person that was running the game was like, well, he just disappears. And then they're like, we call for his aid or whatever. And it was like, this person couldn't crawl in there because the minute they stuck their head in, they'd be headless. Yeah, I don't know. All right, Vince says, "Do you mean something specific with black orbs? I know these days normally are not for something specific, but black orb is oddly specific. And the reason why I said black orbs um, is because I wanted to come up with a prompt that would, you know me, I'm trying to elicit something that on its surface seems pretty basic or um, I don't know. My creative juices sometimes are like, is this a physical object or is this a a section of time and space that is separate from all others, and that depends on you, right? Like, is this something that is normally created or came from someplace else? Are these just random small objects, or are they growing or being deposited from somewhere or somehow? I'm assuming that it's going to be that this day of the black orbs is a day that has happened before because apparently we've named it something, but where they come from and what are they, and if they're little small black holes, are they growing, and how are they growing? Is it because they are I mean, if we're using physics, the density of them would start it would start creating a gravity all of its own. It wouldn't just sit there in space. It would start like annihilating air and small birds, and debris would start flowing into it, and then um I don't know, small rodents and children would get sucked into it, and things like that, and start to get bigger and bigger. I'm not sure if it would fall to the center of the earth or something. But there's all kinds of things. Yeah, Shai says you end up on a planescape adventure, maybe in Pandemonium. Hell, well, hell's yeah. Why not? Why not? Maybe these things are portals to a different location, or maybe they're combinations of the two ideas where the it's it's a portal to another place, but for some reason they are encased in these orbs that you can actually pick up and grab and then figure out a way to open them. Or maybe the day of black orbs, people disappear randomly, and no one exactly knows why. You got your meme set up, okay? Yeah, I want a black orb. You mean a black pearl? No. Well, yes, right? Where do they come from? What are they? Are they objects of value, or are cursed items if we leave the sphere of annihilation behind us? Um, I don't know. And if they are rare, then anything's going to have a value. The minute you add rarity to it, it's going to end up getting some kind of value to it. So maybe that's a thing. Like, people have them and are trying to hoard them or find one. When I say them, I don't. Maybe we're talking in the dozens, or are we talking like a handful? Um, and those that are trying to get them, maybe they have a value even though they have zero idea what they do. They're just like, we have them and you don't. And that means we have the upper hand. Yeah. In the book What If, there is a question about an object made from a neutron star the size of a baseball and what would happen if you drop it on Earth, or how it would feel getting close to it. I mean, if they could represent a pure form of chaos, that or pure potentiality, right? If that's a word. The moment you have one, it's like get the greatest D100 or D1000 table or something. I don't know if there is a D. I'm sure someone's created a D1000 table, and it's like you have zero idea. It's the proverbial Pandora's box, right? No one knows what's inside of it until you open it, but everyone is obsessed with the value of what it is and trying to get it, or at least keep it out of other people's hands, maybe. It is super interesting. Dropping it would basically chunk out huge parts of the Earth while dropping to the Earth's core and remains there. That's what I was wondering about a super dense black hole type of thing, that it would probably just drop to the center of the Earth, unless it stayed still and the Earth moves towards it. Uh, d- yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, would a black hole stop moving through time space and just stay still and just start annihilating things as the Earth spun through it? I don't know. Like would a black hole remain in our orbit and then the Earth just keeps spinning through it while it stays there, like pinholes or something? I don't know. But getting close while it is somehow stabilized somewhere is super weird. It would feel like going downhill, and once you get close enough, your limbs would be ripped off. Yeah, yeah, it would extrude you out. But you could create a water bubble around it, which would allow you to touch it. I don't know. I don't know. Ha! Yeah. Drew's like, there's social media portals. They will suck your mind in. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Who created the black orb? A supernatural or a planar entity? Excuse me, planar entity. Is there a supernatural supernatural phenomenon, or was it made by the classic archmage? I don't know. Well, to throw pandemonium into it, all of the above could be true. Um, on the day of black orbs, you could make strange bedfellows because everyone knows that on this particular time and day, um, this particular celestial configuration of elements comes together to allow the archmage and the planar entities and random nature itself bring together a thing to make a thing happen at a particular time and place, and which would grant them a lot of power. I mean, listen, the classic sphere of annihilation itself, they don't really tell you where it came from or how it was created, but people sure as hell would want it. And if I could remember, let's see if I can find the original rules. um I think it's Forgotten Realms wiki. I think it's Forgotten Realms wiki. And we could find it and look for the sphere of annihilation. Let me see what the original, because I think the original rules didn't even really have like it didn't have like damage to it. It's you touch it and you just and let's see sphere. All right. Yep. 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 Let's go ahead and share this out. Let's see what the rules say. Rules information. All right. All right. Because I believe. Yep, here we go. Ba, ba, ba. Why does it still work? Oh, pop ups. Bullshit pop ups. All right, Sphere of Annihilation. Rules information. First edition, 30,000 gold pieces. 30,000. The description: the object was actually a void in the fabric of the multiverse and was utterly black, such that no amount of light could penetrate it or reflect off of it. The sphere was 2 feet or 61 centimeters in diameter and remained motionless, hovering in position until acted upon by a mental push from a sentient being. And the surface of the sphere essentially destroyed whatever it touched. And that's my question, right? If it touches something, is it disintegrating it, annihilating it as it passes through it, or does it draw whatever it passes through into it? Some describe it as being sucked into the void with no chance of resistance or recovery, even by a wish or similar magics. However, the sphere was considered a minor artifact by some, and this was evidenced by the immunity that other artifacts seemed to have against being drawn into the void. There were also reports of beings who survived coming in contact with the sphere, but they suffered grievous wounds as if struck by a tremendous force. And finally, divine intervention was a possible path to restoration from annihilation, but getting the attention of a deity to ask a boon was generally fraught with risk. The sphere was partially responsive to mental commands of movement, with beings of higher intelligence having a better chance of success. The black hole always moved when someone attempted to control it, but not always in a desired direction. A failure was typically indicated by the sphere moving toward the creature that was making the attempt. If 2 or more people attempted to control the sphere simultaneously, even cooperatively, the chance for success was reduced for all, or it became a contest between the would-be controllers that was largely determined by intelligence and luck. There was no evidence that a sphere of annihilation had intelligence or awareness, but some adventurers reported that one attacked them when they got too close. Mm-mm-mm. It was impossible to bring a sphere of annihilation into the demi-plane of time. Oh, there was a rod of a cancellation. I forgot that. Anyway, the sphere also reacted strangely when it came in contact with portals, gate spells, and other interdimensional phenomena like portable holes. There was a random chance that nothing would happen. The sphere was transported to a destination of the other phenomenon, or every creature and object within 180 feet or 55 meters was whisked off to a random plane of existence. The most likely outcome was that the sphere was simply destroyed, but it was tossed up between that and the other possibilities. Dispel magic and mage's disjunction had no effect on the sphere, but a rod of cancellation that came in contact with the sphere resulted in a blast of mutual destruction that damaged everything within a 60-foot or 18-meter radius. So it didn't. It was like a black hole, but it had to operate in a fantasy realm, right? And I'm thinking, but do we need to really use the sphere of annihilation as um as it pertains to like role-playing games? We don't have to use that. Deadman says second edition said it was created when you drop a bag of holding into a portable hole. I could see that. I could see that as something that could have happened. Which then brings the question: if this is the day of black orbs, is there, how do I say this? Is there a natural event occurring to create them in the first place, such that the these black orbs are being created because there's a natural phenomenon that is a combination of portable holes and black holes happening as we speak on this day? Maybe. Now, oh yeah, Vin says I like the image of a wizard with an orb as its spell focus, similar to a contact juggler but floating. Yeah. I like the idea of that too, like something floating around. Like maybe they need to be manipulated and controlled, and they operate like an evil eye, a familiar. Um, Maybe they are given aspects because you think of the aspect that they should normally have. Like yes, I made a thumbnail, and yes, it's a black sphere in the palm of someone's hand. I mean that's a photograph that I used, but I was looking for like a sphere of annihilation. I said, well, wait a minute. a sphere of annihilation style black hole doesn't have an image unless we talk about something interstellar or whatever. I said, but what if it was something small? And of course, it's reflective, it's a physical object. But yeah, it could be like back in the day, they wanted to create something called a docent for I can't remember. Oh, it was an unearthed arcana. But anyway, maybe these black spheres are information fonts, or allow contact through the planes, or like a familiar or a spell casting focus. A mage could order it. Not just a mage, someone intelligent or with a strong sense of mental acuity could allow magic to emanate from it rather than from you, allowing you to have it go around corners or fly above your head or weave through the dark jungles to then do a thing. Yeah, maybe a living creature comes out of it that's under your control or something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It could be all of the above. Mm-mm-mm. Vince says, I had to think of the emerald eye of Eye of Ekron, which is an item similar to a Green Lantern ring that is used by the Emerald Empress in DC. It floats nearby her and is an orb that looks like a green eye. Yes, 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 yes. I remember that. And I think they have a weird origin where she somehow has a relationship with the Green Lanterns. But yes, it it has it becomes a focus unto itself, which would be kind of strange, but kind of cool for a player character to have that. But maybe the limitation is your magic only comes through it, and then there are others who are trying to capture it, dominate it, separate your connection from it. Maybe its connection to others on this day of black orbs becomes oh I'm trying to think of a competitive nature, meaning that different individual powerful minded individuals or chosen ones even, or what have you, get them, and then they gain an ability to use them in different ways, and that, however, it's like imprinted from the other person or something. Yeah. uh yeah, I don't know. It could, like, I they never really tell you how all these bags of holding and portable holes are made there, dead man, but apparently they are. And maybe on the day of black orbs, maybe it's the one day where things align for the people who weave magic into the portable hole, or the bag of holdings and portable holes and such, to go, today's the day. Okay, now we can enchant it. The membranes between worlds is thinned and whatnot. uh like the other day, the long night, like, hey, if you can see in the dark and you can see it, it can see you. Maybe the black orbs are a way for, I don't know, elder entities across the cosmos to deposit just a small smidgen of a thing, like what's the like, maybe it operates like the lament configuration that I have in my hand, the puzzle box from a distant world. That the box itself, it's not so much what the orb is, or the box as like I'm holding right now. Maybe it's more of, it represents potential. It represents your dreams, your desires, maybe some darker thoughts in your head, and powerful entities from across the cosmos on this particular day are like, yeah, go ahead and pick it up. Go ahead and grab one. And I'll give you what your heart desires, but I'm gonna get something from out of it too. I mean, it could ultimately be a combination of like a wish and an evil. Yeah, Yog Sothoth is watching you. Hell yeah! Oh hell yeah! Yeah. It could. There may be a reason why in your world, before this day happened, no one has one. And it's like, well, why? Wait a minute. If this day happens periodically, let's say once a year, why don't we see a lot of entities running around with these things? Although there are, what are they called? Ion stones? Ion stones? Ion stones? IOUN stones. Ion. Uh, see some images here. So for those who don't know, there's a I'm sure. Yep. It's in the Forgotten Realms wiki. All right. So for those who don't know, there are magic items that are they're like magical stones that you are able to bond with in classic Dungeons and Dragons, and the stones are they orbit around the skull of the person who has them. So the idea is that each stone has a particular color and sometimes a shape to them, and the stones grant you certain minor abilities, whether they protect your mind or allow you certain types of awareness or things of that nature. I'm pretty sure I'm butchering the pronunciation, but it's IOUN stones, and like there's Pinterest pictures. I don't want to hit Pinterest because it always does something bizarre. Um, it's Etsy, Ian Stones, whatever they're called. But maybe these black orbs operate in that manner. Let's see. I'm not going to share this out, but let's see if we can find if I can get a list of some of these special abilities. Ion stones. It's Forgotten Realms wiki, and they were small crystalline stones coming in a wide range of colors and shapes that determined their powers. Unattended ion stones tended to hover and drift about by themselves. They were known to glow and occasionally to emit faint musical sounds, sounding rather like chimes or a harp in single notes or larger chords. I remember I had an adventure where um, the dumbest humanoids became intelligent, and there was like an ogre or like a I think it was an ogre, a hill giant, or maybe an Etten or something that had I think it was an Etten because they had iron stones that were boosted its intelligence and they were orbiting around its dual heads. But anyway, when one acquired a stone and wished to receive its benefits, they had to first hold it firmly for a brief time in order to attune themselves and imprint their own magnetic aura into its structure and then release it or toss it in the air. Thereafter, when functioning, the iron stone orbited the bearer's head at a distance of 1 to 3 feet, 30 to 90 centimeters, or else trailed after the bearer as they walked. Maybe on the day of black orbs, they lead others to the other stones. They're like they have a magnetic attraction to find these stones. Maybe talking about how it drifts and being more specific than it ever needed to. It generally followed a circular or elliptic pattern, but could at times follow a random path, float unmoving in the air, or dance and bob erratically. Occasionally, a stone might drift up to 12 feet from its owner, then swiftly return. Some users noted that if they examined something closely, then their stones would move toward it. An ion stone held stored magical energy, and so on and so forth. And I think it gave bonuses to like you got to like I remember back in the day, it was like, oh, it was. Let's see, they're talking about different stones. Only general certain types of gemstones could be transformed. Amethyst. Oh, they're going up on chrysoprase, onyx, sardonyx, pale green, and so on and so forth. All right. Mm-mm-mm. Oh, and this is Forgotten Realms information here. Okay, here we go. Okay, now share this tab instead. All right, here we go. Um, and then it gave you a description. Some have magic, some didn't. A blessing to defense, continuous detect magic spell, detect poison spell, a brief invisibility to animals on command, brief invisibility to undead, a brief light spell, continuous read magic, different abilities. So I could imagine. I'm wondering if if like the black orbs lead other people to it, and maybe once that's done, the black orbs lose their power, and so therefore, um, yeah, yeah. Vince like says the iron stones are psionic magic items. I liked. Yeah, I'm with you. I like the image, but the effects are relatively boring. It feels like they're good when you have maybe half a dozen of them. So you'd see a person with these orbiting stones, and that would give you a clue. Although maybe on this day of the black orbs, like you use them to find the stones, or maybe there's a way to open them up to make these other stones. Like inside of them, they're like giving birth, I guess, like seeds or eggs or something like that. But for me, the prompt on the day of black orbs for me is they they could present pure potential if your players are very creative and they are forthcoming with all of their um, all of the questions they have in their head. Like they want to investigate what is it, and they're imagining in their heads like, well, I think it's one thing, I think it's something else, and you as the narrator, storyteller, dungeon master, what have you, could pull from your players and go, oh, that's a better idea than I wrote down. Maybe that is why they exist. Yeah, seeds or eggs. Yeah, you said it. This is where D&D meets H.R. Geiger. Yeah, face huggers. Woohoo! Right. I mean, this could be pretty horrible, especially if the day of black orbs, maybe they are created like they are pure. Um, the They are the physical embodiment of releasing guilt or fear or various other psychological issues we have in our real lives. If you want to use that as an allegory for something, maybe someone has an addiction, and the black orb becomes the embodiment of them losing that, and it becomes a physical thing that they want no parts of, and or maybe they are memories. A black orb represents a memory of something or knowledge about something. Maybe there's a region in the world that is off limits to everyone, and everyone and anyone who knows anything about it loses that memory, but it becomes a black orb. Um, there's yeah, black orb of nicotine. Yeah, yeah. I don't know why I want it, but I feel energized when I get it, and I need another one. Yeah, orbs create the dungeons of the setting. Yeah, every time you go on an adventure, each orb represents a mega dungeon. You just get sucked into it. Yeah, you plant them somewhere and they grow into a dungeon. Yeah, exactly. Although you wouldn't pour water on top of it, it's got to be blood or something because it's always blood, right? Yeah, don't make stat blocks for xenomorphs. It has stats. It can if it has stats, it can be killed. Yeah, yeah, Drew. If you stat it, you can kill it. Right? That's always the rule. Right? Don't make stats. I wish. Oh, that's something missing in role playing games. I wish we we as a community became accustomed to things that cannot be killed. Right? Like because for me, there's I understand that many role playing games give us a power fantasy. There's so many things in real life that we have no control over, and we would love to be able to murder kill a thing that has given us so much harm, right? But there are times where for me the challenge isn't defeating the thing. Sometimes the challenge is figuring out how to get around it. And Vince says there are games that have that. Yeah, where it's not a matter of standing up to it. It's being creative in how to avoid the thing. And the kaiju giant monster that cannot be killed normally, we have to figure out how to send it away or convince it to go after something else or control it or things like that. I just wish there was more. I like dragons. I wish dragons were more elemental in their forces than being able to hit it with a long sword a number of times to kill it. It's just a shame. Yeah, how about the black orb works similar to Superman's crystal that created the Fortress of Solitude? Yeah. Kind of cool. Yeah, Vince says they usually only give minimal bonuses like a +1 con or a con save or +1 to a certain skill. Yeah, yeah, the, like the thing was like read magic and detect magic, and it was like, but back in classic the OSR, having an Ion Stone because it worked continuously was pretty powerful because the number ranges didn't extend high. So when you got a +1 on a save, or you had continual light, or could detect magic continually, that was pretty damn powerful for its time. So they haven't been updated because so many characters have access to abilities that far outperform the Iron Stones, that to make them relevant again would mean that you'd have Fireball upon command. It's like it would get out of hand. Mm-mm. Shai says, agreed. Statting out demons and devils and Asmodeus and all kinds of unstoppable entities is one of the worst aspects of D&D. I absolutely agree with that. Yeah, I wish I believe in the game Call of Cthulhu. One of the iterations they actually statted out Cthulhu, and then within the within the stats of it, it was like, oh, this entity will return in like, it was like 1d 100 minutes or something like that, and it literally said it cannot be killed. It can only just be sent away, dispersed, or something temporarily. At no point in time can the player characters ever truly defeat Cthulhu. Like, it was written into the stat block. Like, guess what? Yeah, you'll never really ever defeat it. And I wish we were more embracive of things like that. Like, guess what? That dragon, you're really not going to be able to stand up to it. But I mean, come on, how much artwork have we seen where we have like the heroes standing up to dragons and stuff, and defeating them and taking them down? Drew says, yes, I use dragons like natural disasters, and if you think you could fight a hurricane with a sword, then you have a big surprise coming. That's my thing. I really wish there were mechanical features like when a dragon flies over a city, it's like a wind buff, and there's, of course, they have the fear mechanic and all that kind of business. But I mean, they should be knocking buildings over, and their fire should be enough to annihilate whole regions of the countryside and stuff. It's just really weird. Yeah. Yeah, Vince says in Dungeon World, you're only allowed to roll for attack if your attack could reasonably damage the enemy. So while a dragon could only have 10 hit points in order for it to be damaged, you would need to find a weak spot first and get to the situation where you could hit it. Otherwise, you are not allowed to attack. And I like that. I like the setup to. I'm not saying people shouldn't be able to defeat dragons. I'm saying I love the setup to it. So this, listen, we're getting a little squirrely here, but on the day of Black Orbs, for me, I why this was a prompt that I liked was that we can layer on top of this so many. Now we can get a little bit too wild with it, but for me, it represents the modern day version of signing up for a loot crate to your home. So you know how you sign up for the subscription services that send you a box of random stuff. The Black Orbs could be that random thing, right? Like, if you're able to find one and keep one, and everyone knows that maybe they're not wishes in the classic sense of a wish, but you get one and you like, it's like wish upon a star, and maybe, just maybe, it will give you the thing that you wanted, or at least close to it, or lead you to the thing that you want. Then these could literally be having a black orb is the dungeon master equivalent of it's going to lead you to the next adventure. And in in and of itself could be a thing that leads, like, for example, um um yeah, Drew's like, yeah, the black orbs, they do nothing. Which could be a thing, right? Like, oh, what's yeah, they're just a scam. Oh no, 50,000 gold pieces you can get on the mail order for a black orb. Like, what was the Wish and Timu? It's just like, wait, I did all that just to get the black orb? No wonder no one keeps them after the day of the black orbs, right? They just toss them down into the sand, and they're just. Although, wait a minute, like the lament configuration cube, maybe they are the physical representation of the greed that people have, and even those who aren't greedy are know that everybody else wants them. It's FOMO. It's a physical representation of fear of missing out. I don't have one and everyone else wants one. I better get one, or at least try to get one before everybody else gets one, because I know on this day of the black orbs, everyone's going to stop doing the thing. Like, how many farmers' kids are going to start running to try to get them, and the family is like, oh, the kids left the farm again. Okay, we're going to have to go after them. And in how do I how I'm trying to summarize this in a way. Maybe the black orbs themselves are a they are the call to action, the motivator, the thing that's inserted into the day that makes people act and react in ways they normally wouldn't, and therefore causing a cascade effect through a community, including your adversaries and monsters and things, to go after them, knowing that the black orbs, no one has ever known what the black orbs actually do, but everybody wants them because of the potential of what they could do. But it's never been proven that they do anything. and and the mystery of why is it after the day of black orbs you don't see them anymore and no one talks about them and things like that, right? You know what I mean? If I can get a little dark here, a tight knit family could be unraveled because of one person wants the black orb and has an unreasonable addiction to having it, and the family is sneaks it out of the kid's room and wants to drop it down a well, and then it's like, why did you do that? And the uncle is just like, you need to get back to work and on the farm. I'm tired of this obsession you have. Drop down the well. Young daughter goes after it because they want to help their young brother out, and then gets trapped down in the well or gets hurt or maybe passes away, and now the family's shattered. So, and it's this whole thing that starts this family drama that happens because of this black orb. But the black orb never ever actually done anything. That would be a bit of I'd be kind of an asshole if I did that in a game. But yeah, that is the thing. Yeah. Shice and Vince are talking about eating Cthulhu. Yeah, Cthulhu eats 1d4 of your investigators in a single turn. That's it. That's his stats. Yeah. Roll a d4, you're dead. That's it. Yeah. Cthulhu recognizes the investigators. Simply 1d4, getting mad by seeing them. Yeah, they go mad, like, no! My eyes start bleeding. Yeah, yeah, I guarantee you there's a book out there with Cthulhu stats, and it's just terrible. I remember the original deities and demigods, and they had the stats for the gods and the deities and demigods, and I just rolled my eyes when I saw the book, and I was like, this is cool. Flip, flip, flip. Oh shit! They gave Zeus how many hit points? Thor. They gave Thor hit points and how much damage he can do, and like in today's, you'll get an 8th level character that could like punch out the damage potential of Thor. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The black orbs are like Tamagotchis. Yep. Yeah, yeah. They just suck your time away, which maybe that's a thing. Now, if we really do want to make them give them some kind of physical um, potential in the world, they could also become, and this is a very strange thing to think of, they could become the synthesis of all that your world is about. So let me be more specific if I can. So in your setting, maybe your setting is a little bit haphazard. You created it You did the spiral method of world creation. You started out with your player characters in a very nondescript village, and you spiraled out there. You go out to a dungeon and an adventure, and your world really doesn't have any notable features in it that are um, uh, that make it special. And you wanted to make your world special. Maybe the black orbs are like a nexus of interaction with disparate parts of your world. So fantasy, many times in fantasy gaming, we have our classics. We big bad classics, right? We have our evil liches, undead wizards. We have our dragons. We have vampire lords. We have Lovecraftian horrors. We have demons and devils. We have these things, and sometimes layering them on top of each other makes it a little bit too hodgepodge. But maybe the black orbs are the thing that unites all of those entities together. Like the vampire lord has a relationship with the dragon, and through that relationship it's because of the black orb, because one may have it, the other fears it, and now they have a relationship. And getting the black orb may be one where other entities want to parlay with the player characters, or it's an opening to get to a place, into the door of a kingdom, in past the sealed outer walls of a city state, to get into the front door of a dungeon. You know, the classic video game Zelda-ish. You need a key to get into a place. You're able to, look through and see the thing, but you can't get there unless you get the black orb, and the black orb opens up the dungeon. Like the dungeon is flooded. Using the black orb sucks magically makes the water levels sink down in the dungeon to allow you to go into it, which is why no one's able to get there. But an adversary steals the black orb from you, wants to escape the dungeon and get the water to flood back in, or something like that. Like maybe it allows you to open up a thing. Yeah, yeah, it's like, yeah, the notion that a god would even stoop to your level to fight you is ridiculous. I know. I so agree with you on that. It's pretty ridiculous. Drew says my spiral world building method is different. It is mostly just me spiraling into depression. One could say I retreat into a black orb event. your own event horizon. I'm not making fun of you, but the way you just are picturing it, right? And maybe that is a thing. Like um, the black orbs could. Okay, so this could be, because I'm thinking of them as being very neutral. They don't have a purpose. They don't have a moral or ethical purpose. We are reflections on it. So let's say the black orbs on this day is a good thing, that people are able, using you as an example, and others who suffer from uh, deep, dark psychological issues. Maybe the black orbs are a physical representation of putting it away. And on that day, those people are like, oh, thank goodness. Like, I can just remove this. I just wake up in the morning and I close my eyes. And when I open my eyes, it's in front of me. And maybe no one even knows, like, no one ever physically sees them appear. They just are. And someone's like, great, I can just leave this aside, put it down, and not even worry about it. But maybe there are others who can manipulate them or use them in some way. So the individuals that are both absolved of having this, carrying this weight, it becomes a physical representation. Uh-oh, I don't want it to get in the wrong hands. I guess I will continue to carry the weight. Take 2 black orbs in the morning. Maybe not. Yeah, I don't think you want to overdose on these things, right? But maybe these individuals also are holding on to them because there are other people who know that they can use and abuse their power. So, in a weird way, individuals in our community, like, they become the heroes of the world. Like, those who suffer the most debilitating psychological issues, are they themselves the protector of these black orbs on this day, so that it doesn't fall into the hands of others who would seek to use and abuse it. So yeah, that maybe that is a thing. So I don't know, but anyway, the day of the black orbs. Would you? Because I'm summarizing a little bit here, right? So would you want to have them as singular or multiple spheres of annihilation? I think that would be kind of interesting too, especially for a. It tickles my exploration fancy for random spheres of annihilation being scattered throughout a city or the countryside or whatever, and the players this on this day it has nothing to do with the actual plot. The point is that as players run down alleys and across rooftops and chase down bad guys or run from them or commit heists, these things are in the way. And nobody wants to have a sword fight and cast magic with a random sphere of annihilation that no one can control. But, you know, pushing the hill giant into the sphere of annihilation might be a good tactic. Although the players might get upset when five hobgoblins, manhandle a PC and try to pick up the barbarian and toss him over the rooftop onto the sphere of annihilation, which is halfway in the alleyway and has also destroyed the back wall of a local bakery or something. Like, yeah, it could be something like that. Um, but it does tickle that fancy. But I also maybe they are the equivalent of ciphers, Numenera ciphers. For those who don't know, in Numenera and the cipher system in general, they have ciphers. Ciphers are basically one-use magic items, and maybe in your world, these orbs are literally one-use, very simple um, problem solvers. So, and players normally can't. It's rare if they find one. If they've got two or three, maybe that's the limit to having them. Because if you have more than that, they either annihilate each other or whatever, right? So maybe the orb solves an issue. The players achieve a goal, and these are the magic items of your world or similar to it, so that there's a locked arcane door. Oh, I have a black orb. I use the black orb and hold it up to the door. Great, the door opens. Or um, I need to convince a local viscount to um, allow us to travel across their land, and no amount of money will convince them. And they're very arrogant. And they've been told not to let these strange, you know, that vagabond adventurers to go through their land. And you're like, well, I'm going to bribe them with a black orb. Great, okay, it happens. Like maybe it's a problem solver. We need to get across the chasm, and we don't have rope. The rope bridge was cut by the hobgoblins. We need to get across. All right. Can we use a black orb to get across the chasm? Roll a die. Yeah, yeah, you can use a black orb. Okay, everybody, close your eyes. Three, two, one. Okay, open your eyes. Okay, you're across the chasm. The black orb, um, fading. Nothing but a faded memory or whatever. Oh, okay, great. Like maybe that's a thing. It could get out of hand. Hey, I want to use the orb to defeat the dragon. Can I? Well, no, but it's pulling you towards the north. Oh, it's pulling us towards the thing that helps us defeat the dragon. Cool, right? Yeah, the ultimate MacGuffin. Maybe, yeah, maybe they're just MacGuffin tools. Black orb MacGuffins. Pick up a six pack, right? Yeah, I don't. Yeah, maybe they're MacGuffins. Maybe they are Deus Ex Machinas. Maybe use a black orb and your character is removed from ultimate death. So the players may want to hoard them because your game is extremely violent and brutal, and in order to save a player character, they must use an orb to do it. I mean, hell, Black Panther Wakanda, they've got the Kimoyo beads, and they kind of operate like MacGuffins, right? Oh, I've got a bead that's a hologram. Okay, great. I use another bead to I don't know, block a bullet hole. Mm, little convenient, little bit convenient, right? What is it? They're a communications device. They are a tracking device, and they're also, so maybe it's like that. Maybe they are, maybe it's not so bad to make them MacGuffins. Um, oh man, now this, I'm gonna hard segue away from this because I got to bring something up, and it's been on my mind. And oh man, so there's a movie. Sorry, segue because we got it. Sorry for the hard segue, but I gotta say this up. Um, there's a movie um, called Bones and All, and so I see this movie, and I have to give something away for it because I need you guys to see this damn thing. Um, and it's because it clicked a thing in my head about world building because we're talking about like black orbs and the potential for it and such. And this movie is called Bones and All. And to give away a little something, they let you know this in the first 5 minutes. And if you type in anything about this movie, you'll find out about it, right? Um, it is a kind of a love story. No, not bones and all. Bones and all. All? No, not all. 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 Yeah, is it Mary, Mary, or Mary? What is it? Mary. Is it Mary, Mary, or Mary? Like, how do you pronounce those? Do you, for me, I think it's Mary, 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 and Mary. I don't know. But anyway, this movie is about, yes, I'm going to give it away. It's about a world in which cannibals exist. And these individuals have a, 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 a hunger to eat flesh. It's pretty damn graphic, and there's almost little to no CGI in it. And there's a they hint at a um, underworld of these individuals, and it really sparked my creative the creative part of my brain, like this would be a really good ghoulish underground of how these people exist. I know I segued away from the black orbs, but you guys, anybody that's here this long, you get what's going on. I gotta make I gotta talk about this. I want to make a thumbnail about it or something like that. But I'd like you guys to see this movie. It's it's available on Amazon Prime if I'm not mistaken here in the States. But this movie, ooh, you talk about uncomfortable. Whoa, it's wild. It is the the NPCs that they meet along the way. You follow the young lady and she meets this drifter guy, and then it's like they can smell each other. Especially the older they get, the better they get at smelling each other, and then the things that they do to satiate their hunger, and some try not to, and it's like, can the hunger fuel you so much that you actually start to eat your own limbs? And who do you eat? Can you smell other people's life forces? And you get the idea that they can smell people who are both very they have a lot of life to give versus people who are about to die. And yeah, squirrels, definitely squirreling. Sorry, I just had to share this with you guys. And I listen, if I'm going to have to be punished to have to watch this excellently made, great cinematography, great acting movie that takes place in like the 80s ish, probably late 70s, early 80s. If I gotta watch it and be bothered by it, then I'm gonna make you guys bothered by it. So yeah, and unfortunately, my creative mind was just like, I gotta keep watching this damn thing because it's making me sick. I, I'm not a body horror I mean, I'm a very much a body horror person. Um, but I know how movies are made. I know but it's very visceral. oof, oof, it's visceral. And when you see the images, you're like, oh, it's they're going through something. They're young people. With, oh, and, ooh, these are pictures of blood. And oh, and you you watch the movie, you're like, what the fuck is this movie about? Like, what is it trying to say? Um, from what I understand, I believe the person who um, wrote the movie was talking about like the idea that there is about consumerism and barbarism because I think they're vegan and it has something to do with that and stuff. I was just like, I don't think so. I think you're wrong. I It's on Prime Germany too. Added to my watch list. Yeah, it's if you have a larger interest in movie how movies are made. Like I love movies and storytelling, and I both also love how they're made. And it's this weird configuration of like excellent and horrifying. So anyway, I want to share that for you guys. Bones and all, and I want to talk about it. So I'm going to be sneaky and try to figure out how we can put this insert this in here. So yeah, I'm going to do that. Anyway, we're at the end. Thank you very much for being here on the day of Black Orbs. For you guys, are they spheres of annihilation? Are they I ion stones? Are they ciphers and MacGuffins? Are they wish fulfillment or the releasing of those dark things in our minds and in our life and the physical embodiment of them? Are they dungeons? Are they seeds, literal seeds of adventure that people gather together in a post-apocalyptic world where the dungeons that you enter into are held in the palms of one's hands? Or are they communication devices sending you your thoughts, your bodies, or maybe just guiding you to other places of adventure in your world? Are they links to the strangest locations in your world and things like that? Yep. I don't know. And let's go out with this one. Yeah, happy end of another arbitrary fraction of eternity that we in human society have deemed to be important, right? Yeah. Drew says, I like the idea of taking them like medication for mental disorders. Ooh. Like I said, maybe they are sins and there are sin eaters. Or maybe psychological eaters that take them to or create them or gather them from other people and whatnot. I don't know. I don't know. Would be interesting if they aren't as arcane as we think of them. And there's a faction of people that walk around with sacks of these things, and they go around from house to house as people in the families put the orbs out in front of their door because it's literally the physical representation of them getting rid of their guilt and pain and other mental afflictions. And the people go around and gather them, thank you, and they put them in little sacks and wagons to take them away. And the PCs are like, are those important? And you're like, no, 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 no. It's just a background thing. Wait, you mean like those aren't magic items? No, no, no. They're just pearls. They're like largish black pearls. So you're saying that they're not used for any other purpose? Nope. But they're like memories and such. Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, they are. So we can use them, right? Nope. No, no, they're inert black orbs. But yeah. Black orb salesman. Now we are back at them doing nothing again. Yep. They're very important because they do nothing. Um, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, we made a big circle because when I originally made up the thumbnail, I was like, this could be something, or it could be nothing at all. Like a real sphere of annihilation. It literally goes to nowhere. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. Hopefully, I will be able to carve out some time to do like little shorter videos and things like that. Most people aren't really part of the show for more than 10 minutes at a time. Anyway, something else that I've been ignoring with you guys is that the design journals for Cool Name Goes Here have been happening. I think we're up to like design journal like 22. Not we. I'm part of the design team, but the playtest materials are out for Cool Name Goes Here. It was one of the successful Kickstarters after the OGL debacle. So I'm still part of that. I'm designing the exploration part of the game as they're doing the design elements. So I talked to Mark Tassin about it. We communicated and whatnot. So that's coming along as well. So yeah, I'm part of other things that's going on. I'm still trying to come up with the Heroine's Labyrinth version of the hero's journey for role playing. I'm still tweaking it now. I'm trying to find a killer app in it. So still doing that. So anyway, guys, have a great one. Have a great weekend. I will see you guys Monday. And I remembered the thumbnail. And Monday is the day of hypnosis. A strange one. Well, we'll get into it. Hypnosis, mind control, things like that. We'll get into that. Guys, have a great one. I'll see you later.